Let me tell you a story. It's a legendary tale from a long time ago. We're going way back to the year 1284. Picture this. There's a quaint little town in Germany. It's called Hamelen. It looks pretty, with old buildings and charming streets. But Hamelin had a big problem. A huge problem, actually. It was a problem that scurried and squeaked. It was a problem that hid in the shadows and crawled through the walls. The town was utterly overrun with rats. I'm not talking about one or two. I'm talking about a full-on rat invasion. It was, wait for it, a rat catastrophe. Imagine waking up to find rats in your kitchen. They were nibbling on the bread. They were swimming in the soup pots. They were everywhere. The people of Hamelin were desperate. They tried everything they could think of to get rid of the pests. They set traps, but the rats were too smart. They got cats, but there were simply too many rats for the cats to handle. The noise was constant, a never-ending chorus of squeaking and scratching. The town was losing hope. The mayor and the town council held meeting after meeting, but no solution seemed to work. Their town was no longer theirs. It belonged to the rats. The situation grew worse with each passing day. The rats became bolder, no longer content to stay in the dark corners. They would run across the cobblestone streets in broad daylight, a furry grey river of filth. Children were scared to play outside. The town's economy was suffering because no one wanted to trade with a place so infested. The smell was unbearable. The people were at their wits' end. They pleaded with the mayor to do something, anything, to save them from this living nightmare. They offered a huge reward to anyone who could solve their rat problem once and for all. It was a cry for a hero. Just when all hope seemed lost, a stranger appeared. He was not what they expected. He was a tall, thin man dressed in the most peculiar, colorful clothes. His outfit was a patchwork of red and yellow fabric. He carried a simple wooden pipe. He walked with a strange confidence, a mysterious smile playing on his lips. He called himself the Rat Catcher, or as some would say, the Pied Piper. He approached the mayor with a simple yet legendary proposition. He promised he could rid the town of every single rat. For a price, of course. A very specific, very large price. The desperate mayor quickly agreed. The mayor, seeing no other option, made a solemn vow. He promised the Pied Piper 1,000 gold coins if he could truly free Hamelin from its plague of rats. 1,000. That was a fortune. The Piper simply nodded, his mysterious eyes twinkling. He didn't waste any time. He walked to the center of the town square, raised his simple pipe to his lips, and began to play. It wasn't just any music, oh no. This was a tune so strange, so enchanting, that it seemed to whisper secrets on the wind. It was a melody that no human had ever heard before, and it was magical. As the first notes floated through the air, something incredible happened. From every house, from every cellar, from every nook and cranny, the rats began to emerge. First by the dozen, then by the 100, then by the 1,000. They were mesmerized. They forgot about the cheese in the pantry. They forgot about the grain in the stores. All they could hear was the Piper's hypnotic song. They formed a massive furry parade, following the strange musician as if he were their king. The townspeople watched in stunned silence, their jaws on the floor. It was a sight that was both terrifying and absolutely amazing. The Pied Piper didn't stop. He led the enormous army of rats through the winding streets of Hamelin. He walked calmly, his music never faltering, leading them further and further away from the town gates. The people followed at a safe distance, unable to believe what they were witnessing. The Piper led the rats straight to the edge of the deep flowing river Weser. He continued to play his tune as he stood on the bank. One by one, the mesmerized rats plunged into the cold water and were swept away by the current. Every single one of them. The town was finally miraculously free. Silence fell over Hamelin, but this time it was a beautiful, peaceful silence. The constant squeaking and scratching were gone. The people cheered. They hugged each other in the streets. They threw their hats in the air. Their nightmare was over. The Piper had done the impossible. He had kept his side of the bargain. He had saved their town from the brink of disaster. The mayor and the town council watched from the town hall, their faces filled with relief and astonishment. Now, all that was left was to pay the man who had performed this incredible miracle. A simple transaction, right? With the rat problem solved, the Pied Piper returned to the town hall. He was calm, his work was done, and he was ready to collect his promised reward. He stood before the mayor and the council members, holding out his hand for the 1,000 gold coins. But something had changed. The fear was gone from the council members' eyes. Now all the piper saw was greed. The mayor, with a smug look on his face, began to haggle. 1,000 gold coins, he scoffed. That's far too much for simply playing a little tune on your pipe. The other council members nodded in agreement, their promises forgotten. The mayor and the townspeople had become arrogant. With the danger gone, they no longer felt they needed the piper. They saw him not as a savior, but as an eccentric drifter they could easily cheat. They offered him a measly 50 coins instead of the 1,000 they had promised. 50. It was an insult. The piper's calm expression hardened. His eyes, once twinkling with mystery, now flashed with cold anger. He warned them. He told them they would regret breaking their solemn promise. He advised them to pay what they owed, for his music could charm more than just rats. But they just laughed at him. Big mistake. Huge. The piper turned his back on the greedy mayor and walked away without another word. The townspeople went back to their celebrating, thinking they had cleverly saved themselves a fortune. They didn't know what was coming. The next morning, a Sunday, while all the adults were in church, the piper returned. He stood once more in the town square, but this time he played a different melody. It was a tune that was even more enchanting, more beautiful, and far more powerful than the first. It was a song that wasn't meant for rats. It was a song meant for the innocent. This new music floated through the open windows and into the homes of Hamelin. And one by one, the children stopped what they were doing. They were mesmerized, just as the rats had been. All the children of the town, 130 boys and girls, came out of their houses. Their eyes were wide with wonder as they followed the sound of the beautiful music. Their parents were in church, completely unaware of the tragedy unfolding. The children formed a procession, a happy dancing line, following the Pied Piper out of the town gates, their laughter echoing through the empty streets. The Pied Piper led the children on a path away from the town. He led them towards a large mountain just outside Hamelin. The parents, finally leaving the church, heard the faint, sweet music and the distant laughter of their children. Panic set in. They ran through the streets calling out names, but the town was empty of its youngest souls. They saw the procession in the distance, a line of their beloved children following the colorful piper. They ran as fast as they could, but they were too late. As they watched in horror, a secret door in the side of the mountain magically opened up. The piper led the children right through the opening. Once the last child had stepped inside, the door slammed shut, vanishing back into the rock as if it had never been there at all. The music stopped, and then there was only silence. A terrible, heartbreaking silence. The parents reached the mountain, screaming and crying, clawing at the solid rock where the door had been, but it was no use. The children were gone. All 130 of them had vanished, taken away as payment for a broken promise. The town of Hamelin was left with its gold, but it had lost its most precious treasure, its future. The story of the Pied Piper of Hamelin became a permanent scar on the town's history. It serves as a powerful cautionary tale, a lesson etched in sorrow. What is that lesson, you ask? It's simple, but it's one of the most important lessons you'll ever learn. Always keep your promises. A deal is a deal. Betrayal and greed have consequences, often far more terrible than one can imagine. The people of Hamelin thought they could cheat their savior, but they ended up paying a price that was infinitely higher than 1,000 gold coins. They learned, in the most tragic way possible, that some debts cannot be ignored. To this day, the mystery of what happened to the children of Hamelin remains. Did they go to a magical land or something darker? We'll never know for sure, but the legend lives on, a chilling reminder passed down through generations. It asks us to look at our own actions. Do we honor our word? Do we treat people with fairness, even when we think we have the upper hand? The tale of the Piper is more than just a spooky story. It's a challenge. It challenges us to be better, to be honorable, because the music you hear might just be a promise waiting to be kept, or broken. And the outcome? Well, that's legendary.